So the NFL draft kicks off tomorrow night, people, in Green Bay. All eyes will be on what Adam Peters is doing to help build the Commanders roster. Got some audio of him before the draft. He was asked on whether he hopes on trading back from that 29th pick or possibly the 61st pick to accumulate extra picks because they have dealt a lot of those away by bringing in Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel to help the offense, and Marshawn Lattimore to upgrade the cornerback room.
We talked about this at the owners' meetings a little bit, and you're really open to everything, and you're open to moving up if the right move's up. If Abdul Carter falls to 27, I might want to try to move up too and get him. But I mean, if there's a great player that we want to sit and pick, we'll do that. But if there's an opportunity to move back, then we're certainly open to that too. You know, with 5 picks, like you said, that's something you'd like to do is add picks. But you always have to have somebody who wants to come up too, and we'll find that out. We're making those calls this week, and we'll have an idea of who wants to come up, and if we want to do that, and we'll also have an idea of who wants to move back in the first round ahead of us, and so we'll know what we can do there.
Look at Adam Peters. He's got jokes prepared and ready to go about Abdul Carter slipping down the draft board. I mean, every mock draft I've seen, and I've seen probably 200 of them, has Abdul Carter going either 2 or 3. So, I mean, clearly joking that he would drop to 27. He was kidding, Everybody knew that.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody got a good chuckle out of that one.
Right. He's by far everybody's top edge rusher, right? Abdul Carter.
Yes.
Some people think he's the best player in a draft. Some people think it's Travis Hunter. Who of the top prospects have the biggest question marks, like because of character or some sort of arrest or some sort of pending litigation? Are there any of those guys?
Well, we talked a little bit about yesterday. It was James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. Some people have him as the number 1 most talented overall player in the draft, but he's got maturity issues.
Also, Mike Green out of Marshall.
Yep.
Similar.
He's a stud.
He's a stud, but he had, I believe, multiple sexual assault accusations. I don't believe there's been any sort of convictions.
I think I heard Kimes say, because again, I always listen to Kimes' podcast. I always want to recommend that. I thought I heard him say that they do like Green and that they've brought him in. I think he was maybe part of the Top Golf, and they've definitely interviewed him a few times. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean they're going to take him, but they're at least interested in him, the player, and probably trying to get to know him. And sometimes that makes you think maybe they're not putting a lot of stock in some of these accusations or whatever. I don't know.
Well, we just don't know what happened. I mean, I'm sure they dive into, the accusation.
But if they thought that it was like some so horrible thing and he's off their board, they wouldn't even bother.
Well, yeah, but you would hear that from multiple media outlets. If Mike Green had these accusations that were, valid, well, he'd be off everybody's board.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
so
he's
I'm
not.
saying they're not putting a ton of stock into him, I think.
Right.
I think they think.
I would assume that there's nothing there, but, I have no idea.
I mean, I think if he's still there at 29, that Peters would seriously consider
he would.
Adding him.
Right. He led the nation in sacks.
Yeah. Like that's a guy that would have to intrigue you.
When I watched him play Tech this year, Tech blew him out, but he was awesome defensively. I think he had 2 or 3 sacks in that game.
I think that for me, I don't know about for you guys, the intriguing name that might set the tone for the way the first round goes is Shedeur Sanders. Mm-hmm. I think I was listening. I think it was it was Grant and Danny. I think it was them when I was driving around, and they had a guy on, and he said he didn't think he'd get past the Raiders. That Pete Carroll would take him, even though they just signed Geno.
I find that hard to believe. Like
he said,
you're going to bring in Geno and extend him, and then you're going to use your number 6 pick on Shedeur Sanders. That would blow my mind.
The idea was it's the Jordan Love deal, and that you have him stay there. He'll learn behind Geno for a couple years, and Brady's got a good relationship apparently with Dion. In a couple years, Dion could take over as the head guy potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. that seems a little out there.
But I would agree with you. I would think that.
But I think he could be a guy, and also everybody thinks also New Orleans could take him
at 9.
Possible.
So I mean, he could. I'm not convinced that he's dropping out of the first round. I know Jonathan Jones had that.
I'm not convinced he's going to, but I won't be surprised one bit if he is available in the early second round. I wouldn't be shocked if he's picked at 35
I would think if
or
he's
40.
I would think if he's still on the board late firsts, let's just say at 29.
Yeah.
That someone's going to take a shot
Some
at him,
teams might be interested.
and someone's going to jump up.
I think he's. Somebody else pointed this out. I can't remember where I saw it. Also, sorry, I can't remember all these things I'm seeing, but it just researching so much about all this that someone said, Shedeur Sanders by the end of the season, it was between him and Cam Ward. He hasn't thrown a pass since, and now he's dropped out of the first round in some people's minds. Like, what is going on here?
I know it's people they study every single play, or every single throw,
or they're just trying to, lower his value so he slides to them.
Like trying to sabotage his value.
It also, and we've talked about this, it just depends on who you talk to. I mean, some people, of course. Mel Kiper loves him. I
like him more than Cam Ward.
But
Cam Ward's arm blows everybody away.
Who did we have on the show earlier this week who thought he was undraftable?
Oh, it was first round mock.
Daniel Kelly.
Daniel Kelly.
Yeah, so it just kind of depends on it's eyes of the beholder, man.
This quote is getting circulated on a lot of these NFL rumor sites, so who knows how much you can read into it. But an NFL assistant coach on Colorado's Shedeur Sanders, this is recently.
I think I saw this. This is crazy.
Quote, the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. End quote.
I saw that, and that quote it doesn't make sense to me. I've seen him interviewed a bunch of times. I think he seems like a pretty grounded kid, relatively speaking, considering his environment.
Again, I mean, we've
pretty
never,
nice kid.
Seems like it, but we've never talked to him behind closed doors.
No, but I've seen him in interviews, and I see how he handles himself. I can make a calculated guess.
Maybe, but it wouldn't be unprecedented.
No.
I remember Jimmy Clausen was supposed to go number 2 overall.
Right.
Mel Kiper had him number 2 on his overall, and he went in the second round.
I mean, would it surprise you if Deion Sanders' kid is brash and seemed entitled in a sit-down interview with like NFL brass?
It would because I've seen him in other interviews, and he seems like a normal kid. Yes, for me it would. I would be now on the face of it. It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah,
but. Having seen that kid do a few interviews, he doesn't strike me as that kind of
kid. If I'm an NFL GM and I have a gaping hole at quarterback, I'd be terrified to draft him. I'd be terrified.
Why? All he did was put up numbers, protect the football, and did a pretty good job of winning. Pretty good job of winning.
Know how much
it's a mediocre program.
I don't know how much I buy into his high completion percentage. Like it might be artificial.
How about his low interception percentage?
Well, part of that goes into if he's not pushing the ball downfield a lot, you're not going to throw a lot of picks. That would be my response. I would just be worried. If I had to turn in a card that said Shedeur Sanders and I worried about my job prospects over the next 3 or 4 years.
Even though he's been highly productive.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with it.
Really?
Seems like a lot of too many red flags. I might have to
I think I'm Team Kiper on this one.
I might have to just go safe and try to get my man Kirk.
I'd be worried about all of these guys.
That's also true.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like last year. Right. Where you felt pretty confident.
This class is not the class of 24.
Right. You felt pretty confident about the majority of those guys last year. I'd be worried about all of them.
All right. Let's get back to what Peters.
Tennessee took Will Levis, first pick in the second round.
Awful pick.
He's gone.
Yep.
I mean, he's a backup.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Peters on the possibility of taking a wide receiver at number 29.
Yeah, I think really every team every year is a little bit different, right? And so we're really just what's the best player that's going to help us now and in the future, and because that room's going to change next year, just like every other room in our building is going to change each year. It's going to evolve. So, if the best player we think is a player that's going to help us more than any other position, then we won't hesitate to take that.
So he said nothing.
That's basically him just saying,
yeah.
He said nothing.
I mean, if you ask him, would you take a wide receiver at 29? He's not going to say, yes, I'm going to take Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. He's not going to tip his hand.
Well, the thing is that, and Keim also pointed this out, is that quarterbacks obviously super valuable. You get them in their rookie contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
wide receivers are kind of in that realm too. If you get an elite wide receiver and you could get 5 years out of them before you have to pay him.
What a bargain.
Right. But at other positions, it's not necessarily that same way, right? They don't get paid that way, like running backs. It's not some great bargain.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be value there to someone if you think could be an elite guy.
Yeah, if you
you
hit on that wide receiver in the late first round, you pair him up with Terry McLaurin, with Jaden throwing him the ball, could be a good combination. So we'll have to see if that's the direction that they take.
You can't have too many really good receivers.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Put it this way. A receiver
again,
would definitely put lead in my pencil.
Yeah, would definitely help.
I'm going to have that category, lead in my pencil, guys.
Okay.
Should give that to Kuiper.
Yeah. He can have that one for free.
Yeah, I give it to tell Mel he can have that for free. Lead in my pencil, guys.
Give you a credit.
Yes.
I mean, you have to be credited.
Just mention me once.
That's all you need.
Lead in my pencil guy.
Need those ADs.
He's a lead in my pencil guy.
All right. The last bit of audio we have on Peters during his press conference. What does BPA, best available player, mean to Adam Peters?
Yeah, I think it's probably just the best fit for our team, in terms of how they fit in our locker room, how they fit in our scheme and what we're looking for. So that could be any position, right? So, I don't want to keep saying this because Ben made fun of me for saying this, but we're in a position where we can take the best available and we can stay true to our board, and so we feel really good about that, and so we don't have to reach for a position that we feel we need that we may be talking ourselves into.
So no reaching like that.
What
Stick to your board.
You had a comment, Valdez, so you're chiming over there, talking to yourself.
I don't think it's gonna be edge.
Yeah, too mainstream. Like, just
what's your vibe?
I think you might be right.
I think they're gonna take Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia.
Okay.
I think he's gonna kind of slip in the draft, and he's one of those athletic freak safety types.
You love athletic freak safeties. You like, is it Iminwari, the dude out of South Carolina? You love him.
I think Starks is the one that's going to drop, and it's going to fall right into their laps.
Why is he going to drop though? Why is he going to be somebody that drops?
Just need.
But he doesn't have checkered past or anything, does he?
No.
There's no character issues with him. No.
But everyone, I mean, he's like he's a 3-time all SEC safety. Started 3 years in Georgia.
Can't go wrong taking defensive players from Georgia either.
And then there's a lot of players saying like he's one of the most athletic, best players on the board. And it's not necessarily a need, and I think it's going to fall right into their lap. I don't think Adam's dead set on an edge just because they need an edge.
Oh, I don't think that either. I know, but I think a lot of people see that as a glaring. It's our biggest need. But I don't think that means they're going to take him in the first round.
That's something the Ron era would do, is that they would put all of their eggs in this position basket. Adam doesn't do that.
No, I agree with that. I remember last year when they made all of their picks, I didn't understand them at the time, and it ended up being great. You know what I mean? They weren't prioritized in the way I would prioritize.
Ron takes Jamin Davis because they have a void at linebacker. Adam doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of got to get over this fact that we don't have a pass rusher, so let's go out there and
but if there's a great one that you can get, they'll take one. There's a great one they think they can get.
If there's a good pass rusher on the board, but there's a better position, a different position player available, they're going to take the better position player. If it's better,
depends on the position. I think. I'm not convinced they'll take a higher ranked linebacker. I'm not convinced.
I think they would. I think they would do anything but quarterback.
I agree with that. I mean, obviously they're not picking quarterback.
I could see a possibility where they don't take a single edge in the draft based off of their board.
Who knows?
Maybe, but
who knows what's on their board?
They do need help in that.
I think Adam is so dedicated to his board and his scouting that he's not going to reach for something.
Yeah, but let's say have the 9th guy on his board and the 10th guy on his board, and one's an edge and one is a D tackle. I think he might lean the edge. I don't know.
Well, especially since
you know what I'm saying? Like in a
I
civil
know.
situation.
If you're splitting hairs,
Yeah.
then you would go with the position of need.
Yeah. Listen, I definitely am not convinced they're going to take an edge at 1. An edge would be one of my top 3, but I'm not, I'm actually hoping over the last few weeks that they take a receiver. I'm actually working up a lather for that.
Like it. I like the way you're thinking.
I still think
they're
going to trade out.
That's what Drab thinks too.
I think they're going to trade out at 29.
All right, but don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, we will give our dream top players, our top 3 each that we think is going to be available for the Commanders if they make their pick at number 29. We're going to be realistic. We're not going to, think Ashton Genty or somebody
You're not going to say
fall
Travis
to them
Hunter
at 29. So we'll do that coming up at 8 o'clock here on The Fan.